although I wanted to make a video about Godzilla, because the new Godzilla movie that came out today, I guess, I see Lisa Poole on Quora.com asked, how do I plan a cheap backyard wedding? It's a great question, and why should I answer that question? I've officiated at around 700 weddings in the past 12 years. I guess November will be 12 years since I started working in the wedding business, and a great deal of the weddings I've done have either been cheap backyard weddings or cheap weddings that were not necessarily in the backyard. Most important part of the wedding, I guess, unless you live in which state is that now? Was that Alabama? I'm not sure, is it Alabama or Arkansas? I think it's Alabama, right? If you live in Alabama, you don't need a wedding officiant anymore. The fact of the matter is, in Pennsylvania and in Colorado, you also don't need a wedding officiant. But you can have a wedding officiant, and most people do. And you're given two choices. One is the regular marriage license, and one is the self-uniting license. Don't know how it is in Colorado, but I know Colorado and Pennsylvania are the two states that offer self-uniting licenses, and now Arkansas just doesn't offer marriage licenses anymore. With that being said, so if that's the case, you could just have anybody do it. Really anybody, as long as in those states you do get the self-uniting license. That's a confusion a lot of people have. There are these organizations that will ordain you as a minister, and really there's no legal reason why you can't even theoretically declare yourself to be a minister. There are certain reasons why that wouldn't be applicable, and generally, we're careful with that. But if you want to have a friend or a family member perform the wedding, look into the laws in your state. Sometimes even the clerks don't really know, so make sure you know what the laws are. So, for example, if you're, the experiences I had, because I'm actually, a rabbi in a congregation, so that's how I started. But unlike most rabbis that I know, I'll perform weddings for non-Jewish couples as well. I won't say I'll perform weddings for any couple, but I will, especially if it's a man and a woman getting married and neither of them are Jewish. I do the weddings pretty freely. If you are a religious person, you're probably going to want to get married according to the rules of your religion. And just about any state where marriage licenses are needed, your minister from your church, or the imam from your mosque, the rabbi from your synagogue, whatever it is, the guru from your temple, whatever it is, whatever religion you are, even if you're a member of like an atheist humanist congregation, and there's some leader of the congregation who gets up to preach, they have the Society for Ethical Humanism. Whatever it is, they are legal to sign the marriage license. A lot of people get confused with that. They think, well, I'll go to the judge to get the marriage license signed, and then have my minister do the wedding. Now, even if you wanted for some reason to get the marriage license signed a few months before, or maybe even after your religious ceremony, that's a little bit more complicated, but certainly you get it before. You can just bring it to your minister, and he or she can sign it. That's just, that's a different thing. But generally, most people will get their marriage license signed the same day that they're getting married. You have to get the marriage license at a time. That it's not that cheap. Usually, it depends on really what municipality you're getting your marriage license from. But you're generally not going to find a marriage license anywhere for less than $40. Some places it could be as much as $100, maybe even $120 just to get the license. Once you have the license, then you have to have an officiant. If you don't belong to a church and you don't have any friends or relatives who are ministers, and you don't want to go down this kind of iffy path of these online ministers, which it depends on the state whether or not you want to go that way, and you should find out. I'm pretty sure in a place like Maryland it doesn't matter that much. There are certain states where it just pretty much anyone can sign a marriage license. Some require something to be done though with the state. That's what I was saying. So like in Virginia, the minister has to be registered with the state. They can register in any municipal court with any judge, but that's how it works in Virginia, and then you're good for the whole state. In New York, you're pretty much good anywhere, but except in the city, although with the marriage license issue, so that's part of it. But then beyond the marriage license issue, we have some other things you're going to talk about. So just make sure, if you want to be legally married according to the state where you live, and then that's going to be recognized nationwide and really worldwide, most other countries and so forth, you're going to want to make sure that you have someone who is legally allowed to perform the ceremony. And each state is different, and sometimes it could be different by city or by county and by county. And sometimes they don't really regulate that. It's regulated, but they don't really enforce these regulations. So it's very complicated to make sure you got the right type of person. And not everyone who advertises is legal in every state. They might be legal in many states or legal under certain circumstances. I'm at work now. I'm going to make another video for the next part. But the first part is basically make sure who you're hiring is legal. If you're going to hire someone from online, a website like Thumbtack.com, Gigmasters, Wedding Wire, the prices can range for anywhere from $50, $100 to $1,000, and you're really going to get the same thing. It's just more or less, do you want someone with experience or not? You can sometimes pay $1,000 and get very poor work, and you can sometimes pay $50 and get something very good. The average price, I said, today would be about between $175 and $300 for an officiant. All right, God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Come all the way.